What's up, everyone? My name is Jasmine Neely, and I am your host for the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. I just got done filming some content, and I just did the DCC challenge that's all over TikTok right now. I feel like every time that the season comes out, there's a new challenge. Last year, it was Thunderstruck, and this year, it's the Move, Move, Shake, Shake dance by Pitbull and somebody else. I'm not sure who the exact artist is, but I will say I had a lot of fun recording that, and it only took like 3 takes, but it's such a fun dance. And shout out to whoever choreographed that. I believe it looks like Michelle Key's choreography to me, who is a former DCC and does classes in DC in Dallas, and she also choreographs for the team. So yeah, I think it's just so fun that the NFL cheerleading world is getting this moment, and that the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders organization is so willing to put themselves out there and show what goes on off the field, what leads up to what you see on the field, what they are able to produce. So I just think it's so cool that we're having this moment again, and I hope that they get renewed for a third season, because like right now they're probably filming, like they're in training camp. Well, actually, I think they just announced the team, because I've been seeing on social media some of the rookies that are getting their uniforms and getting excited, and I'm learning who the new rookies are. So they just finished filming, perhaps is what I'm guessing, and they have a new team, and like right now they're going through it, and they'll be going through the season. Well, they're finished filming the training camp part probably, so they're going through the season. I think there's a woman on there who is Australian or British. She had a British accent, and she has wearing a ponytail. So I'm excited to see where that is coming from, and who what her kind of personality is, and what the thought was that went into wearing a ponytail. So yeah, I'm just reliving my past NFL cheer days and participating in all these trends, which are so fun. So I highly recommend that if this is something that you want to do, just have fun with it. And if you're on TikTok, then have fun, film a dance, see how you look in the style. Like when I went back and looked at it the first three times that I filmed, I'm like, I don't quite match their style, but that's okay. I'm just having fun. But it's interesting to see how well you might match, or like what you notice in yourself that you need to improve on when you're looking at a video, even if it's just a for fun video like that. Like looking back at your old videos and looking at yourself, critiquing yourself before somebody can critique you, I think is super important. So, like, okay, this is what I know I need to work on. Before you hear it from somebody else, you already kind of know. You have that idea in your head, so it's not a surprise when somebody else tells you. You're kind of in front of it, and you're proactive ahead of the game. So, yeah, have fun with it. So, with all that said, I'm going to talk about season 2, episode 2. So, I had a lot of notes that I wrote down for season 2, episode 2. And the first thing that I noticed was that they announced Kayla, who had been cut last year, and she got back on the team last year. And I thought it was so sweet. First of all, they did all of that for the plot. They started the episode with that, and it kind of looked like she was expecting them not to say her name, but then once they said welcome back, she kind of like lit up, and she was like, oh wait, that's me. So I thought it was so sweet that all of her teammates went in and hugged her, and they definitely did that for the plot. It was just such a beautiful moment that they all just welcomed her back so wonderfully, and just genuinely, it seemed like. So shout out to Kayla. And by the way, she has braids like I do that made her stand out in a different way. And I think aside from like her amazing dance ability and her stage presence and probably who she is as a person, she seems like a lovely person. But that's one thing that made her stand out, is having braids, which I think is a really hard thing to do on a team, is to have braids, because these things are heavy and they get in your face a lot, and you have to get used to them. But if you have small braids, maybe they're easier. I digress. They talked about group leaders, and they had a moment where they're talking about Shondi, and I believe it was Judy who was talking about how Shondi is more as a quiet leader, and how you can still be effective as a leader and you can be quiet. For example, like I talked about in my previous episode, I started out as one of those quiet leaders. There were moments where I had to find my voice and know when the right times were to speak up, which I think I did a good job at. But I think really embracing who you are as a leader, if you are one, because not everybody is wants to be a leader or is born to be a leader, and that's okay. But if you are somebody that wants to lead, be in a leadership position, and think that you can do it, then it's okay to kind of like observe and move and then let people watch how you move, because people are watching whether you know it or not. I always thought it was interesting when I was a captain on the Topcats, how people would notice certain things that like I wouldn't even notice. Like I was just being myself, like just being poised and moving in a way that like it came natural to me. So I think embracing those moments, not trying to be somebody that you're not as a leader, not trying to overtalk or always be the person to say something. Like sometimes it's okay to just listen and then respond when necessary, because people that are quiet, when they do speak up, they're more likely to be heard because they're not always talking, right? Like sometimes the most powerful voice in the room is the one that's not speaking. So just keep that in mind. And they also talked about Jada being their hesitancy about her being a group leader because she's quote unquote chatty, and that maybe she talks too much. And she told us the first episode, she said, things need to change. So I respected her for that. But she's a different type of leader and she's going to speak up more often. And that's just kind of how she is. But in that instance, maybe she could consider listening more, like they said. So it's all about just your personality and how you approach leadership and moving in an authentic way. I totally understand the craving approval and attention from your coaches. I felt that so much. I'm probably going to feel it now that I'm a dancer in the NBA, but like craving that attention, not attention, craving the approval really is what you want, because you are kind of like the second in command to the coach. Like the coach is leaning on you to know what you're doing, to communicate anything that's going on with your line or your group, and really be on top of everything. And it's kind of like having like a personal assistant in the way. You want to do everything right, and it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. And so I think there is some type of like, you have to notice kind of like if you're moving authentically or if you're just moving in a way to appease your coaches. I think it's definitely part of the job to appease them, but don't get like sucked into appeasing them, if that makes sense. So I think it's normal to crave that approval because you just want to do a good job. And when you're in this environment of quote unquote perfection, you want to stand out in that way and show that you can be a good leader because you are prepared and you know your stuff. One time in the episode, they talked about they were testing the girls on knowledge of the team and asking like, what's the official name of the owner of Jerry Jones' title? And then they flash back to maybe like the 70s or 80s where the women had to do a 100 question test, and their whole thing was like if they're going to be representing this team, they have to know who they're representing, and if they're going to be asked a question at an appearance, they're going to have to know knowledge about the team. They can't just be seen as dancers on the team. They have to be seen as ambassadors who will speak highly of the team, know the history of the team, and know kind of like really all about the team. which in a sense is kind of like, I don't know if it's a double standard. I kind of think about it in the same way that I think about the fraternizing that's in a contract where you're not supposed to talk to the players. I'd like to know if that same clause is in the players' contracts, right? Because it's not, I've never really looked at a player's contract. I'm not close enough to a player that I would know if that's in their contract. I could ask a player if they remember seeing that, but like, are you going to test a football player about the rules, or are you going to give them a 100-question test about the history of the team? I've never seen it. Maybe they do. Maybe some teams do, but like it's kind of like that double standard. It's like, okay, I'm here to dance, but I'm also here to represent the team in a way that shows that I am a team player. I am dedicated to this team and I know about this team. So I think really specific questions are unnecessary. Like highlights, of course you should know. And I tell you this all the time, that you should know about who the quarterback is, at least at the bare minimum. Know who the quarterback is. Know who the owner is at the bare minimum. And I think those things are important, but like knowing what happened on this specific day at this specific time is not necessary. And like if you have to memorize those types of things, and it's part of the job, but don't get so like overwhelmed on those questions, because that's not gonna, I was gonna say, that's not gonna make or break your chances of getting on the team. I think it's a low factor, I will say, to get on the team. And then we started getting into like the influence of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders and people attempting to do Thunderstruck. And that was a whole moment, like I talked about earlier, that was a whole moment last year where people were doing Thunderstruck in their living rooms, on fields, outside, and they were posting it on TikTok. And like Kelly's like, nobody can do Thunderstruck like the girls. They're attempting to do it and all this. And she's probably gonna say the same thing about this move, shake, shake dance. But like there's like, they're attempting to do it, and like they have this influence all over the world, which I think is really cool. And so yeah, I thought that was an interesting moment, how they kind of showed like little clips of people doing Thunderstruck, and just like, you didn't have that when you had the CMT show. Maybe you had Vine, but like you didn't have this like globalization or like virality of a specific dance that is known by the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, that like you can see people from all over the world, all over the country doing it. So that was really interesting to see. I'm sure that Charlotte, she's like the brand owner, brand strategist, brand chief brand officer, whatever it's called. Jerry Jones' daughter. I'm sure she loved to see that too, because it definitely is a huge branding play. We see Victoria, I think her last name is Kalina. We see her in this episode, and we see how she is, reflecting on her time as a DCC and getting ready to move to New York City. And it's so interesting to see, and I'm glad that the producers included her in this season, because she was a huge part of season 1, and she was super raw and real about her experience there and her specific experience on the team that I think a lot of women on teams can relate to. So I'm happy to see that she's still pursuing her dance dreams, but like just in a different way. I think it's amazing that she's, moving to New York, and maybe will be a Rockette one day and still training and teaching and things like that. I do find it interesting that her and her mom are like just so close. They're like hip to hip. They're like sisters. And I think it's a beautiful thing to see that they're so close. But I do, and maybe Victoria has grown since moving to New York and not being with her mother. And granted, she's still pretty young. I mean, she's not that young. She's probably in her mid-20s. But I do think it's interesting that they are so close. I think it's such a beautiful relationship. I wonder, I worry if like Victoria is, or if her mom is living, if Victoria's mom is living vicariously through Victoria. I think they just share the same passions. I don't get that sense. I just think that they're super close and they share the same passions. So yeah, that's that on Victoria. So shout out to her, and I pray that she, is living her best life. There was a point where that she did mention that her the mom mentioned that Victoria's teammates didn't take care of her on the team. And I would have liked to see more of like what she meant by that and why just why she said that. Did they not show up for her in different ways? Did they not make an effort to be a support system or friends with her? I wish she would have elaborated that on that a little bit more. She said her rookie sisters didn't do their job. Hmm. And now that I'm thinking back on it, it was probably addressed in season one. But yeah, I hope that she still has friends from DCC. Even though it might not seem like it, I hope that she still is close with at least, some of the girls there. Because you do want to keep those friendships for life. I thought that Kelly saying on national TV that she could do a better job of giving the girls feedback in real time. I'm not sure exactly what she said, but she said something about giving the women feedback. The fact that she admitted that on national TV and let her ego go is like, what? Who is this? Because a lot of people don't want to say stuff like that. They don't want to say what they can be better at. So I respect Kelly a lot for doing that because I really do think she cares about those women. I do think she wants what's best for the organization. I do think she wants to keep her job from what I've seen. I don't know this lady, but I do think she's trying her best to put the dancers in the best light and also tend to their needs because she was in their spot, years ago. She was in their same position. So I like that she's letting ego fall by the wayside and really being honest and vulnerable, really. Klein is cool as hell. I'm gonna say that because every time I've seen her in this show, she has just been just cool. I don't know what else to like describe it. She's just been really, really like just a cool girl. And part of me feels like she's just super carefree and she just kind of takes things as they are and doesn't get super nervous about things, but I would love to like be her friend. She just seems like a cool person. One of my friends actually got to meet her when she was auditioning for DCC or thinking about auditioning for DCC. And she said how cool she was. And I'm just like, yeah, she's really cool. It shows on TV. And I think she's a group leader this year. So that's good to see. Because you do need like calm group leaders. I don't know that she's one that gets super stressful, but she seems like, she's kind of like, you'll be fine type of person. No, a lot of people don't like people like that because they're like, tell me what I need to do. But I think we all need somebody like that in our lives to be like, it is what it is. You're not going to die. Things are going to be okay. One thing that I did notice is in this season, when they let go of a black girl, I don't know that they really spent much time giving her a reason why they let her go. They spent more, this is way in more episodes, but they spent more time giving the other girls a reason. But I would love to have seen them give, I forget her name, but she was a rookie. I would have loved to see them give her a reason as well. Like, what was it that got her cut? It's amazing to see that the vets also show up for the rookies in these kind of like mentorship ways. They talk a lot about like getting with vets and making sure that you have the style right, especially in Thunder, which is like their biggest performance of the game. The first time they're introduced to the fans. It's the hips, it's the shapes, it's the sex appeal. And that just doesn't come naturally for some people. I think it's something that is very nuanced, and every move has a different shape. So yeah, I think the vets showing the rookies the ways that they can put their own, I think can't come Camille said this, put their own individuality into the dance, but also looking as a unit on the team is like something you have to master as a pro dancer in general and as a DCC. Like, what's your personal style? But also fit in with the DCC style, right? It's like finding those little nuggets of where you can insert yourself in your personal dance style. Oh my gosh, Abby. Woo! One thing I don't know if I appreciate this, but I think Kelly and Judy will call girls out. They will call you out if you don't look right. They're gonna call you out in the middle of it. And I once had a coach that did that, and it kind of scares you a little bit because it's like, oh my gosh, they're looking at me. But it keeps you on your P's and Q's. I'm gonna say that. But yeah, Abby not knowing what she was doing, yeah, I've been there. And it has been embarrassing. And that happened to me at my last audition. I didn't know what I was doing, and I just learned the dance. I mean, granted, I just learned the dance, and she had maybe a day from when she learned it to when she was doing it again. But there's not enough time in the day to learn these dances, right? Like, she was balancing a full-time job. There's a lot of women that balance full-time jobs, and you have to be able to practice in your head when you can. And sometimes there's jobs where you can't practice at all. Like, they're very demanding jobs. So, yeah, you're expected to know what you're doing for sure. But it's so hard to kind of just like do that and only focus on that while also having a job and trying to make a living for yourself because you do this for fun, and it's not something that you can live off of. She was also talking about the differences between dancing in the NFL and a college dance team, and her being hard on herself because she had a great reputation at Ohio State and won like 6 national championships. And they only had to learn one dance throughout the whole season because that's what they perfected the whole season and then went to competitions with. I went to nationals with. And then when you get to an environment like DCC, you're learning multiple routines at once, and then you're having to perform them. And then, like, if you don't know what you're doing, then it's like, oh, that girl is a girl that doesn't know what she's doing. But you've had this reputation for so long for being such an amazing dancer. And if you remember, her solo was just like, whoa, like, she is an amazing dancer. And I don't think her memory retention should, like, have to overshadow that fact that she's an amazing dancer. Like, she's gonna get it, right? It's just a matter of when and the practice that comes with it. And that's a really interesting difference between NFL and NFL cheer or pro dance in general and college cheer or college dance. Like, it's all about, they're both about perfection, but like there's different expectations. Yeah. And for me, like, sometimes it's hard for me to pick up, and like I have to take more classes to learn more. So, especially as you're getting older and there's so many other things that are on your mind. So, yeah, like we would practice for 6 months only on one dance, and we would work out and we'd have showcases that were for fun, but it wasn't like the stakes were super high. We weren't getting paid for this. And we did have to represent the team. I'm talking about my experience now on college dance team. We had to represent the team and the community. but the stakes weren't as high. We were still students and we still had to manage time. We still had to have that time management balance as well. But it's also the careers part, going back into the pro world. When you get there, you're usually either a student or you're in your career, and your careers are what you're studying is what makes you interesting, right? Working so many hours outside of dance while having a full-time commitment to dance is hard on your body and your mental and your sleep patterns. I just think about like the amount of sleep that I got, but like I was so happy to be on that team that I was running on adrenaline. Every season, I was running on adrenaline. I was like, okay, I signed up for this. Everybody doesn't get this opportunity. I'm going to get my butt up and I'm going to go work out. I'm going to stay up late and pack for the next day, make sure I have everything I need, because this is a moment in time in my life that a lot of people don't get the chance to experience, and I'm going to make every moment out of it. And like now I'm interested to see how I do that as I'm older and I'm on an NBA team and there are more games during the season. I'm interested to see what the differences are between my experience in the NFL and now my experience being in the NBA. Okay, so little tangent there, but let me get back to DCC. Shaundi having 4 jobs is crazy. I'm sorry, but 4 jobs? How did she do it? And she's a group leader? Girl, how did you do that? I would love to know. But like I said, you got to do what you got to do. Like, this is probably a moment in her life where she was like, I am going to work my hardest. I don't have any kids. I'm not married. This is my life. And I'm pouring myself into this life because it's a moment in time. You know that this moment in time is going to end. But yeah, that's wild. And I would love to see how her schedule looked, because I can't imagine. I can't imagine. But you have to make ends meet because you don't get paid that well to be a DCC, even though it's glamorous and it's glitzy and you get all these perks. It's amazing to put on your resume as a dancer that you were a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader in any instance, whether you're going for a corporate job or another dance job or a modeling gig. Like, their brand recognition is so prominent that like you're going to make it work. And I think just being a pro dancer in general, like when you tell people that, they're like, oh, they're kind of like, wow, that's impressive. And I think that's with anything, like even LeBron James, who is one of the most high, like one of the best basketball players there is, at least in this moment in time, he gets paid millions and millions of dollars, but he still like seems like he puts his all into his work. Now, it's easy to do that if you're getting paid millions of dollars. But on the other hand, when you're not getting paid millions of dollars, like you really do it because you love it. I'm going to get into why I think doing it because you love it is not enough later. But I think if you're going to take something away from this experience, you should put your whole heart into it and take away the memories and cherish the moments as much as possible, even though the paycheck doesn't come with it. And I think that's what women have been doing for so long. For example, one of those moments is that I really noticed and appreciated that they showed was the women who were staying in the hotel together, having the same hotel at the Omni, I think, and really debriefing after practices, are practicing together at times. And I think that's beautiful that they're able to build those friendships early on. Even though some of them got cut, you start there and you can't go through this process alone. You have to have somebody else or a group of women that are kind of helping you and guiding you, and you're learning from them and they're learning from you. They also tried on uniforms this episode, and one thing that just got me was like when Kelly said, "Oh, you have shoulders." And apparently somebody said that she didn't need to lift anymore, which Kelly told Abby that. I don't know if I said Abby. So Abby, she said that they used to lift all the time. They barely did cardio And lifting for dancers, believe it or not, is like the most important thing that you can do. And I think Kelly and Judy maybe live in this old mindset that you have to do cardio, you have to thin out. But to me, Abby looks incredible. She looks like a strong dancer, and she is that strong of a dancer because of the way that her physique is, how she lifts, and that she just lifts in general. That's what she does as a workout. So I'm curious to know if she took that advice. She stopped lifting. I hope that she still did, because lifting prevents injuries. It's the most important thing that you can do, important exercise that you can do as a dancer, in my opinion, while also getting the cardio you need, but not having cardio be the main and only thing that you do. So I think that didn't send a great message, but it is what it is. And hopefully this message gets out to you that you should still be lifting. You're not going to bulk up. You are a woman, and women don't have the same amount of testosterone that men do. So you're not going to get super bulky, because it just can't happen unless you're taking steroids. And I hope you're not doing that. So keep lifting, because it's going to make you look lean and it's going to make you look strong. And don't you want to look like that in your uniform? I do. I've totally been where Kelly has been, where she walked in and she was late to her fitting appointment, and she felt horrible, and she felt like this was the end of the world. And she talks about how much pressure it is to be perfect. And you think it's the end of it. Like, all this time you could have done the most perfect things, and then this one thing, you're late to an appointment or a call time or whatever it is, that could get you kicked off the team. I could just see in her face how she was trying to hold back, when she had her uniform on, after like they figured it out that she was late. They handled it well and she handled it well, but I could see like she was just trying to hold back, not breaking down or getting super emotional or just worked up in that moment. I've definitely been there. Not during audition, but when I was actually on the team. I thought I had more time than I needed to get to an appearance or a call time. And I left and got there late. And I don't know what I was thinking, but I definitely learned my lesson. This was during my rookie season. I got there, they were loading a bus, I think, to go to training camp, and that's what I was late for. It might have been my sophomore season, my second year. But I was late for that, and I felt devastated. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to get kicked off the team. This is it. They're going to hate me. They're going to hold this against me for the rest of the season. And it's just that feeling of just wanting to be perfect, wanting to have everything right. And the reality is you just have to accept that everything's not going to be right. Everything's not going to be right. So yeah, I totally get it. I get where Kelly's coming from. You don't want to be that person. So try hard to prepare. Know that you're not going to be perfect, but you can at least try. And I think she showed that she tried in that episode. There's one thing that stood out to me towards the end of the episode, and it was Ariel. She was talking about knowing your weaknesses and hoping that you know what your weaknesses are. I think I touched on this at the beginning, like getting in front of knowing what you want to improve and what you need to improve. I think if you know what your weaknesses are, things won't come as a surprise to you. And I think she said that, and at first when I saw it, I didn't catch it, but the second time I was like, oh, yeah, that's actually a really important point. When you're auditioning for a team, you want to know like what they're going to say. Obviously, you want to be working towards making it better. If you can get in front of it, I think it's just a way to ease like your mental state and your emotions, because they could be like, oh yeah, your kicks aren't high. You could be like, oh yeah, I know, but I've been working on it. And that way it's like, I didn't not see this coming. So just think about that the next time you're in the audition and like as you're preparing and training. Last thing I'll say about this episode is they said, somebody commented, "Oh, Kelly's prettier this year," as they were going through girls. It's like, wait, was she not pretty before? I see what they mean, but like her look has changed. I think they just said it like she's prettier this year. I think they're just saying that she's a little bit more glamorous and that her look fits her. I do like Kelly with the dark hair than the blonde hair. I think it fits her better. But also continue practicing your makeup. Maybe get a makeup consultation. I'm actually getting a makeup consultation by Makeup by Caitlin. Shout out to her soon. So I can learn how to do my makeup and that I can be prettier this year. But that's my TED Talk for season 2, episode 2 of DCC Making the Team on Netflix. I will be back for another episode recap for episode 3. And so I hope that you are enjoying these and that if you have any questions, I am an open book, y'all. You can text me, well, DM me, and I will respond. If you have any questions about anything I've said today, anything that you're maybe worried about that you've seen on the team that you're like, oh, does my team do this? And like, if so, how do I prepare myself? I want to help you and I'm willing to talk to you about these types of things. So DM me at The Professional Cheerleader. Follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on TikTok. I've been posting my NBA dance audition journey there. And I actually just finished that series. So you can go find that out on TikTok. I am thepro.cheerleader on TikTok. So yeah, thank you for listening. And I'll see you next time on another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Taking the time to listen while you're busy with all of life's responsibilities means the world to me. If you enjoyed this episode, here are a few ways you can support ICP. Number 1, hit the subscribe button so you always get newly released episodes and never miss them. Number 2, take a screenshot of the episode you listened to and tag at The Professional Cheerleader on Instagram. We love to repost your tags and shout you out in our stories. Number 3, write a review. This is the best way to show your support for the podcast and helps us bring on even better guests, interviews, and topics. I hope you have a wonderful day, morning, or night, wherever you may be, and are continuing to work towards your goals of becoming a professional cheerleader, dancer, or just someone who loves to move. I'll see you later on another episode of the Imperfect Cheerleader podcast. Toodles for now.